discussion, but everybody here, right? Yes, everybody here. So I thought it was very interesting to see also this kind of gap, right? You guys looking way ahead, and then at the end we ended by real-time like construction work, etc. So I wonder, how would you see this gap in terms of timing, right? I mean, we're not talking about the right side with the chip in the head, just like the more on the left side, right? So where would you see this gap? I think there are more microphones, but maybe we start with Andre. What do you think of what Chris or what Philip presented? When will you actually apply this in a project with some time? What would you think?
Actually, what Philip presented makes my solution obviously not usable anymore, because nobody has to go to the office, everybody can work from home.
Okay. Wait a second. Oh, yeah. So then it's the next situation of places.
It's not necessary anymore.
So maybe we go back to Philip. What do you think? What could you do for you know?
I think we need to realize that just as we go to the cinema today for entertainment or to get immersed and to dive into different worlds, I think there is a space for putting on the headset and exploring and working, collaborating in XR. But I don't think that it is going to replace the human connection and the physical need to be together 100%. So just to take maybe this thought of dystopia away from the conversation, so I still think there is definitely a need of us all getting together in person and just saying there is a next dimension which will be added visually to our conversation.
Well, the workplace used to be a place where you would meet your spouse, right? But now we have dating platforms, so that sort of is not needed anymore. Maybe we play back to Christoph and then to Remy. What would you see, some of the things you saw from Chris and from Philip? When will you actually implement that? Or have a client saying, I want that?
It's always the same. You have to find a client which supports you, the new visions. And I really appreciate the visions. And what I think, also looking back to the past, always new things are coming. A lot of people are afraid. Oh, replacing the jobs, or is the train, oh, the speed, oh, you're getting ill. And with all the visions, it's good to have the visions, that you look ahead and then you have to bring it to the ground. And from my point of view, also the speed, how fast you adapt new trends. Also here the speed is getting faster and faster.
So we heard it, digitalization in construction is lagging behind, so you can take all your time, right, Remy?
Yeah. No, on one hand, yes, but on the other hand, what we want to do is, I think, something quite innovative. And our collaborative platform will kind of be the back end of it. I mean, that will be server side, but it will also have some front end. And I think whether it's a traditional browser or an Apple Vision Pro is basically something that could both be possible. And I have seen that the Apple Vision Pro has very nice integration of current web software, so it would be perfect to use our software in an Apple Vision Pro, so I'm looking forward to it.
I think the next big thing, not is XR or VR, whatever, what I mentioned before, the NLP, the way how we talk to interfaces, how we control interfaces will die, because I think if we look at some user interfaces like big applications, it makes us not happy to work with them. And you need to learn it, you need to understand it. But if we only can ask a question and we get, for example, some information, it's much easier. And I think not XR is the visionary thing for now. I think for now it's NLP, natural language processing.
Any more comments on this? Yeah, sure.
Just one point. I actually think, so two thoughts. First thought, I think you're 100% right. So all applications that are being built at the moment, especially focusing on the processes and on the back end, is the underlying structure. Because in the end, we can all make dreams about AI and XR, but in the end it's shit in, shit out. Sorry, pardon my French, but if there's no data, the checker will give you bad feedback. If there is no underlying infrastructure, what do you want to visualize if there is no data? So I believe, indeed, you're right, this is more or less the underlying structure. When it comes to AI versus XR, I believe it is not an either-or method. I would say it is actually, rather than being afraid, I think actually that we have a chance, an opportunity of a decade, all of us, because it is not only one emerging technology, but rather two coming up at the same time. The one is about what the data is. What is the information? What are implications giving us? So this is the what question. And the other question is the how. How do we use this data? How do we communicate? What do we make out of it? So it's, if you ask me, it's not an either or. So it's also not either us maybe thinking 2 or 3 or 5 years ahead, or you with tangible use cases today. I think it's also here hand in hand. It's just one step away.
Questions? I guess there are questions, no? Can you raise your hand? Sorry. Back there. Yeah.
Thank you for the interesting talk. Maybe a bit of a tangent to the question that was just discussed. I think all these new technologies like AI, AR, VR, in the tech business or software industry, I think it's open doors that are being run in a lot of times. Like we're very open to try these things. So I thought it was really interesting that Remy, you told us about the construction industry, where you broke in and basically brought this innovation. And my question is, when I talk to, for example, friends that are doctors in the hospital and the administration, things are still very backwards, like 30 years back, with basically no Elasticsearch or anything like proper search engines to find documents and so forth. From a sales point of view, do you think if you want to break into that, which is also quite a regulated conservative space, that going in with AI, even let's say it's reliable enough and we could make it work, is a good idea? Or would you say these sectors we should first catch with more traditional technology and then try to iterate to the more innovative technologies?
Thank you for the question. So breaking into healthcare.
Not necessarily healthcare, but like in general, very conservative industries.
Yes, I think healthcare is a good example though. So how's your experience with breaking into healthcare?
I think it depends on the AI or VR, XR, whatever. It's not a tool. I think it's an economic kind. How can you sell it and how can you scale it? And if it's not possible, for example, the medical part is very important for me because my wife is working in the medical part and I know it's really, really big trouble with administration. So if we could do something more like this, and Thomas, you know a little bit better what is possible or not, we should do, but it's not in case of why we should use AI. There are some legal restrictions on it.
Yes, but the question was also interesting. Do you go with the cutting edge, like this vision, or you go with do this, do that, do that, do that? How do you get there?
I can only talk about my experience from regulated industries. And in the past I worked, in brackets, only for the financial industry, which is also highly regulated, but we also have some experience with healthcare. And what my experience was, do not come with the leading edge technologies. Because they are afraid, they're always asking who is accountable, who is responsible. Oh, you're bringing the technology, you are responsible. And for me, technology supports you. And it's always at the end, the doctor is responsible, not the technology. Therefore, my experiences come more with a traditional technology and then build trust and then try to sell the newer things. We did in the past for one of the hospitals also an AI machine learning project, but they stopped it because they were afraid. Who is responsible? At the end, you are responsible.
Okay, so I think you have the microphone, Philip. How do you deal with laggards, right? That's the question.
Charming, so I can't talk about clients anymore. So I just presented this one German public sector client, and so I'm talking about Ministry of Internal Affairs, where we rolled out VR headsets. So I think that's also, I would say, something rather conservative as a client. So there were two reactions. The one reaction was, amazing, finally we can try something, and the others were, we have the egos here. Why the hell do we start with playing around with different topics since we have real life problems here which are not solved? There, of course, is not the perfect answer, but I just saw several reactions. The one, it is perceived extremely positively if you start and try your endeavor. You have no idea how many conversations I have had afterwards, even in Korean TV, where they asked me, how the hell, if the German Ministry of Internal Affairs works in VR, why don't we? And I think that's a super interesting hook, right? Because if those are super conservative ones who only work according to processes, super risk averse, if they start a pilot and they like it, what is your excuse not to use it or to try today? I'm not saying you need to do everything in VR, certainly not. But instead of only focusing on time horizon, plus 1 year, plus 1 year, plus 1 year, you might do just the same mistakes as the others have done it 10 years ago. But I think you have to help.
I just wanted to ask there, like, did you have someone on the inside, let's say, responsible for the project who was, I guess, very visionary to try this, right? Because you need some stakeholder to really buy into this, and then those critical voices that you always have, they just need to be silenced, I guess, in a way, by that person. I mean, in a positive way, to push this project forward and not
100%. And I think that's, I mean, it's always easy to say if you have someone on the other side who's visionary and let's say one of these unicorns who want to try and push the limits of what's possible. But yeah.
But so you did have that, right? It's
we had one of these, but it's always. I believe that's also a little bit. Let's turn it around. I'm working at PwC, which, as you know, is a big company. There are many partners, a lot of gray hair. Sorry, I don't know, insult anyone, who all know how things are done better. Of course, also we would be using AR, VR without seeing it as a criticism. Of course, we would be using it more in case it would come top down. I'm fighting more or less as small senior manager trying to push the technology, trying to make the case for the technology. But if you have someone pushing it from top down into the organization saying, this is the way, and rather than always finding excuses why not to do it, you need to figure out a way how we can manage. That, of course, helps innovation. And I'm just saying innovation as general, right? I'm not just trying to make an XR case here.
Thank you. Thank you. I think Remy also had a visionary client.
Okay. Well, our client was kind of visionary, but basically, I think the clients that we currently have are rather the clients that also kind of share our values, which are also innovation, quality, and passion, and stuff like this. But I think, most importantly, when you have something in mind, whatever it is, I think you also have to care about the target audience, which obviously when you search for innovative people is, as we have seen on that curve, it's a little bit more limited than the general public. So, but on the other hand, it may be a lot more fun. And as you know, this curve is not like stable, so it moves, or your solution moves in that curve, and it will move towards the maximum, which means you can take your time, and time works for you.
Thank you. We have another question.
Yes, I have a question for Christoph. You are using LLMs to process tens of thousands of pages.
Do you think the other side is maybe using LLMs to write them or code them in principle? And what would be the implications of this?
It's a good question. I do not know if the other side also using LLMs. From my point of view, no, because they have, sorry to say it, a lot of inconsistencies and these kind of things, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. And you also detect this with LLMs, that it doesn't make sense. Therefore, it's a good question how it would be in future if both sides are using LLMs. I do not know it today. But coming back, I see that because all the wordings are different and that finding information, LLMs really help. And also what you said before, that also how do you work? Because my way of working from the past and today, it changed a lot. Because I ask him questions, not reading, I ask him questions. Do we have references in these areas? Where do I found it? And this really changed the way of work. And for me, it makes more fun than reading. But if everybody is using it, I do not know it, how it's working in future.
Maybe Chris from the association about this kind of automated writing. So as a writer or ex-writer, which is in there. You write actually for AIs, right?
Yeah, you could say it's a large language model and it produces text, but I don't use it every time to produce some new text. But for example, what you said, because when LLM we had a project, not we, but a company runs a project, and they have this kind of frontier machine. I don't know the English word for it.
Anybody frontier machine?
From the post, you know what I mean. And they have a lot of calls every day to ask how I put my envelope there and why is it how I changed the Swiss francs on it and so on. And they started to use LLM and put all the data of all our documentations in it. And now they have less calls, and that is a really nice case for it. Not only to produce text, on how to work with information.
Okay. More questions? Yes, please.
Yes, hi, my name is Matthias. I have a question to Philip and a hypothesis. So, you have talked about the 3D things and showed the films, and my experience is we are 2D beings mostly. We walk on flat earth, we cannot fly, we can fall down 2 meters. We had Easter egg hunting recently, and I put one chocolate up in the tree and nobody would ever look up. It was sitting there forever. And my hypothesis is the VR headset is just a very light curved screen that you can carry around. How can you leverage the third dimension? I don't see that.
I like the question. Thank you. I think we need to learn it. Because, so just one thought. Many of clients, when I come up with a headset, there's always, as I mentioned, seeing is believing. So the first thing is I normally make a demo, I give them the headset, and then afterwards we discuss different steps of the value chain and what use cases they see. The first thing 60% of people say is, can you rebuild my office? Because I want to see my physical space, my colleagues in there, and I'm saying, congratulations, you just found yourself in the next bias trap, because there is no need to rebuild physical structures. And I think we still need to learn how we leverage that new flexibility, that third dimension, best for our work productivity. I agree, reading is two-dimensional. But when it comes to data visualization, honestly, I think there are more efficient ways than putting everything in 2 dimensions. When you're having a flow chart, or for example, when we're talking about constructions and you have a Gantt chart, at the moment everything is 2-dimensional. When you would have a third dimension to display velocity, bottlenecks, contributions from stakeholders, you could visualize this perfectly in a 3-dimensional space. So I'm just saying, there's a next level that we can use for visualization, and I would love to just throw the microphone at you and say catch and say it's 3-dimensional, but I never break any line. But I'm just saying, there is a value, 100%. We just need to learn ourselves how to use it best. And just one last thing, everyone is asking about what is the killer app? I would just, for the Apple Vision Pro or for the Quest devices or any headset, tell me the killer app of the iPhone. There's also not one killer. It's always an ecosystem that in the end brings together all relevant parts to solve a task. And sorry, just one very last sentence, I'm just adding and adding. I should become a politician. Both AI as well as XR, they are not solutions per se. They are enablers. They are enablers to solve a problem. Because in the end, it always still needs the applications to solve the topic. And our technologies, sorry, I'm just saying you're AI and XR, our technologies are in the end just enabling these solutions to make it better and probably in a more efficient way or to make our life easier.
I think what we missed in XR is this iPhone moment or OpenAI moment, because it's really hard to adopt to work in such an environment, or you need the hardware first. And we use it for our small company since about 2 years to make our meetings there, and it's much more better. Even with this awkward avatars, it's much easier, it's more focused on the meeting, on not I have to write an email beside.
Okay, sort of convinced? No.
I have the killer for VR, bungee jumping.
There is a similar app for that.
Okay, any more questions? Christian. Please.
Thank you. So I have a question for Christoph. You said when you came new to the company, all your colleagues were in there, you had to work with the tenders, you had to review this, and then you demonstrated a solution you used to help you write the tender, right? You could look at the past tenders and say, like, this is how we did it, and search the information, and you showed also this graph where you said, look, we don't know which is the best LLM, so we have APIs, and we can plug this in, we can plug this in. And last year I went to a conference in Bern about AI and law. And one scenario for the consultants as well, is like you're a very busy consultant, and you need to write more tenders, so your boss is happy, but you can't read all that stuff. So what you do is you take all the information your prospective client provided, you throw it into ChatGPT, and it gives you the tender. The problem with that, of course, is that all the information about the company, which is secretive, is just given to ChatGPT. So how do you deal with these questions? Because this is actually it's prohibited by law to do this, but lots of people do it, which you can see very nicely when ChatGPT sometimes regurgitates some company secrets which were fed into it, which happens all the time currently.
Thanks a lot for the question, and I haven't mentioned everything from this small slide because in 12 minutes it's hard to mention everything. But one of our advantage of our system is also you can install everything on premise. You can also use open source LLMs and these kind of things. And the other thing is also if you're using OpenAI, they promise everything is in Switzerland and they do not provide it to the United States. They promise, I do not believe it, but that's my personal opinion. But coming back, especially in the financial industry where we install the application, we install it in practice on premise and using not OpenAI and these kind of things. This is for me the solution, and also in future they will come with a lot of more flexibility that you do not provide the information to the public. And this is also necessary because if everybody push all the information to the public, everything looks the same at the end. And where's then your USP, how to differentiate it? Therefore, my or our opinion is that you also have to have something inside your ecosystem that you can differentiate.
Okay, you. Some more questions? If not, I would do the closing round. I think. Way back. Okay. Sorry, I can't give this virtually, so I have to walk, but it's healthy.
Thank you all. Very interesting topics. To Philip, you mentioned that you did a virtual conference in PwC. How was the experience perceived by those that participated? Did you have very long sessions in VR? Because I think VR is still very exhausting in terms of how you feel when you use it for a while. So how did you manage it? And what were lessons learned that you could tell us?
Thanks for the question. So I'll just relate my answer to the first video I showed, so the project we did with the German government. So this agile planning, actually quite funny, actually expected what no one wanted to happen. Everyone was putting on the headset, and what you heard in the whole call afterwards, after 1 minute, was the vase falling. So there was someone who was starting to run and ran into some flowers at home. Anyway, so how did we design it? It was normally in real life it is a one-day session, either 1 or 2 days, where you come together and spend the whole time in person. We split it up. We said maximum 45 minutes per session, and then we were having a 15 minutes break. Because, again, we didn't want to replicate just what was happening in real life, because we said, okay, indeed, working in VR is more exhausting. And I'm 100%, whenever you put on a Vision Pro, it is great. I'm not doing any advertisement, also the Meta devices, whatever, in case anyone was watching, Meta, Pico, HTC, all great devices. But they are more exhaustive. So there's actually a study, and also the study which we did with the university, proving that, and it was significant throughout all the projects, 20% more exhausting than a normal video conference. I mean, it makes sense. What you just said is an advantage, because no one's writing emails in parallel. Well, you can't. You're immersed. There is no way of you looking out of the window or giving your eyes a break. It is more exhausting. It is heavy, it is chunky, and especially in long sessions, you for sure also have a cable at some point because you want to charge your headset. So what we did, just coming to the point, we split it up. So we had 45-minute sessions, first onboardings. We had these over several days in advance to get people used to the technology. We gave them the opportunity to play inside the VR platform, just to get used to the different tooling, so try to do it in a gamified way. And when we then really had the session, we made sure that we have enough breaks, and everyone at any point in time, whenever they felt uncomfortable, they always had the chance to go into the video conferencing tool. So that meant we always had a bridge. You don't want to see the picture of me having a headset on and a Jabra speaker on top of that to make sure that whoever's in the video conference hears what's happening in VR, vice versa. Work somehow. But at any point in time, give people the chance to step out, because it can be overwhelming. Just as amazing as it is, but the first time in a cinema, first time in IMAX, the first time in a VR headset, it is always at the risk of being overwhelming. So always give people the chance to step out and be accepted and be comfortable with just having the two-dimensional solution.
Okay. So, we will have an opera over there, but one short question, one short answer, because actually it was Chris, when we talked, we prepared, or you also showed it. So, till now, productivity gains have been reinvested for the more, right? Something else has been reinvested for more time. So what do you think, going ahead? More time or more money or profit? What will be the overall trend, or what you wish for?
More fun.
More fun, so more time. Oh no, both.
It's not necessary.
Yeah, profits.
More fun.
Profits are a lot of fun, right? Okay, more fun?
I fully agree, more fun, and therefore I also said, but we receive answers from our customer, it's more fun to work, but end of the day, you have to earn money.
Okay,
Yeah.
So, still working, good, more fun? Yes, Philip.
I think in the last years we've all seen a trend towards more productivity, more faster, stronger, do more, do longer, more intensely. I don't see a point where this is actually stopping, unfortunately. I just hope that we will have the chance to enjoy it more. So personally, more fun. Totally, I just don't see at the moment the point where we say, okay, we go away from productivity. Not yet.
Chris.
I think it's like I mentioned before, in the past we focus more and more on productivity, and we are about 200 people in the association and we are talking what we do and all our focus on productivity, but I think it needs more humanity. I think the time we gained, we should focus more on our life, on not only to gain more money or to work more.
Yeah, before industrialization actually, according to historians, like what we call primitive tribes, right? They maybe worked 4 or 5 hours a day max just to get the food and stuff, and the rest was fun. Yeah. So, thanks, Chris. So, Andre, what would you like?
I think maybe it can also be more time because of the technology. You will save the traveling. You don't have to travel that much. You don't have to go to
it also with trains, and what we do now, we make a longer working.
Yes, still, but if you stay at home, nobody will notice. Yes. You can pretend, yeah, I started working at 8, started at 8:15, nobody will ever notice.
Okay, but you can put on your VR in the train.
Yeah. No, but in the end, if there is more time, then you also will be getting more tasks. So I think if there is a short gain in time, then more productivity will always win in the end. Unfortunately.
So I say now more drinks. So that's over there. You go to the garden or through here. Look at the space. I would like to thank you all for your contributions. Very nice presentations, and thank you all for coming.